Finding problems? That's easy. They exist in every community. I'm Terry Springs, your host. We're looking deeper, and we are talking solutions, finding out how we all can make a difference. Now on Talking Solutions, it's all about jobs, and maybe that's all about connections. Kathy Topp and Tenesha McCulloch are here from Goodwill. That would be Career Connections. First, let's find out about Workforce Connections. Kenadie Cobbin Richardson is here, Director of Business Engagement and Communications. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What are you doing with Goodwill?
Well, Goodwill has received funding. We expended $11.8 million in the Southern Nevada region, and Goodwill is a part of that. They received $1.6 million in our funding.
So did this come from the federal government to help people find jobs?
Right. Every year, Workforce Connections gets money from the Department of Labor. We are the Workforce Investment Board. There are two in Nevada, one in Southern Nevada and one in Northern Nevada. And every year, to help with job creation, job sustainability, we'll get funds from the Department of Labor. That comes in around 26 to 27 million every single year. We did get the most because we were the hardest hit during the recession. So that's a good thing, but not a good thing that we had to get so much money in order to get our economy and our job market back in shape.
And I think Goodwill has certainly been a big player in helping to get people back to work here.
Correct. Goodwill is an incredible partner, mainly because when they do have a better geographic footprint, they have, I think they're opening 3 Career Connections this time, and they also help a wide variety of job seekers, including those with barriers.
Kenadie, we were talking about the funding that's come through from the federal government to help you achieve all of these things.
Correct.
But the funds that you mentioned, Goodwill got a big chunk of that, but it went to other groups here in the area?
Correct. Our goal is to make sure that all of the people who need jobs in Southern Nevada get the help that they need. So Goodwill got $1.6 million. Help of Southern Nevada serves both adults and youth as well. They received funding. Help for Prisoners and FIT are both agencies that serve people who are returning citizens. They've had issues with the law. They've done some time. Now they're out. And so FIT and Hope for Prisoners really helps with that. Nevada Partners also does adults and youth. And ResCare, which is the operator for the One Stop Career Center on Charleston, they run that agency. And then there are other opportunities in Lincoln, Nye, and then in Boulder City with Olive Crest as well. So there are a lot of agencies that get the funding that are doing great work just as Goodwill.
This is so much what we need because Southern Nevada was so hard hit from the effects of the recession. Maybe I'm not exactly objective about this because I know how bad it was here, but I don't think anybody suffered more than the people who live in Southern Nevada. So we need that extra helping hand to be able to get everybody up and functioning again.
Correct. And we're almost there. We're doing a great job bouncing back. And our goal now is to try to diversify our workforce because we were so heavy in construction, just building up the city and the growth with the homes and on the Strip. And then also hospitality, tourism, and entertainment was, a big chunk of what we do. But because of the recession nationwide, when the people don't have any money, they don't travel for vacation. So that's one of the reasons why those 42 million visitors that we're used to declined sharply. And then we suffered as a result of that. But now we're trying to get people into other professions, advanced manufacturing, healthcare. And now we have great companies that have come in like Tesla and Faraday Future, Hyperloop. And so we really are going to be ahead of the curve from a workforce standpoint. But we do have to keep pace and make sure that people are trained and ready for those opportunities. And that's where people like Goodwill and Nevada Partners come in, making sure that workforce is ready.
Make sure we're all set up, resumes, training, all of that is ready to go so that when the opportunity presents itself, we are ready to pounce on it.
Correct.
I'm also really excited about the tech opportunities that are opening up here in Southern Nevada. We really are growing in that area with companies like Switch and talking with College of Southern Nevada, their tech programs and getting people up to speed and trained in the areas where the jobs are. And these are good jobs and they're good paying jobs.
They are.
And it helps to diversify our economy, which is great.
It is. And another thing is that training really is the key. So a lot of those jobs don't require a college degree. They just require basically understanding, mastery of whatever that skill is. For example, in tech, you mentioned, do you know Java language or don't you? And if you do, great. How much experience have you had? And then you'll get that job. Whereas before, it just felt like you needed a piece of paper in order to advance. But your experience and your training is really what's going to get you into that next door, into that next level. And that's important for us because we don't have a lot of college-educated people local in Southern Nevada. I think it's something like 63% of our ready job force does not have a college degree. College isn't for everyone, and the fact is that you can make a great salary, and in some industries greater than $100,000 with a high school diploma and specialized training.
Wow, now that is huge.
Exactly.
I don't want to see a job that is tech-related open up here in Southern Nevada and have no one to fill it, because they're going to fill that job one way or the other. I want it to be a local. I want it to be someone right here who is trained and ready to go, as opposed to them having to import somebody to do that job.
Right. And because of the information age, not going local no longer just means, okay, we'll bring someone in from LA. It's Dubai. Like right now, that job posting is all over the world. And so when we say you're competing globally, that's really not a small thing. We were talking earlier about what it used to be like. It was in the paper, and then people in that neighborhood competed for that job. Now with the internet, people are competing really all over the world. And so we have to be ready.
I am all for that. We've got Kenadie, Kathy, and Tenesha. We're talking about jobs. There are so many things about Goodwill and the Career Connections. And I know that there were 2 Goodwill Career Connection centers previously, and I knew that there was the opening of a new one, but I thought it was still going to be 2, like one would be put out of service. But it sounds like with this federal funding, it's going to be 3.
Right. And that's really good news, because people with barriers or having a problem getting to a job interview really have transportation issues. And so the better the geographic footprint for all of our workforce development offices is better. So the fact that they'll have 3 locations where job seekers can come into, hopefully within a short walk or a short bus ride, then that's really positive for job seekers.
And there's a lot of different parts to the Career Connection Center once somebody gets inside. It's not just an interview for a job. It's not just finding a job with Goodwill. There's a lot of things that you offer. Isn't there training in there somewhere? And there's help with resumes and helping people get up to speed on their interviewing skills.
Correct. That's the meat of it all, actually. So we actually don't get people jobs, and that's what some people might think, because we're all about jobs, but we help people prepare to get their own job. And so all of the supportive services, the training, the resume building, the removing of barriers for job seekers, all that assists a person in becoming more competitive in their own job search. And yes, Goodwill does a great job in doing that.
One of the things you referred to, Kenadie, is people who have barriers, be it transportation issues getting to work, or maybe they have a disability.
Correct.
But they still have a desire to work. They just need help finding a job that they can do.
Correct.
I know Goodwill has always offered a great deal of support for our veterans who are returning from active duty, trying to get back into the fabric of society and try to become functioning members again. A lot of times that's very difficult to achieve.
That's true.
But with Goodwill's emphasis on the Veterans Integration Program, is that the terminology?
Yes, that is correct.
Tenesha, when veterans come back, a lot of times the jobs that they were trained to perform when they were active duty don't translate. A friend of mine who works here at Beasley Media Group was in the Marines in Afghanistan. He was an explosives detonation expert. I'm thinking you don't have a lot of jobs that have that job title, but the skills that he learned and that he performed during his time in the service actually do translate, but they need a little bit of retooling so that it's worded in the proper way.
Absolutely. Typically when they're coming in to a career center, they've been job searching on their own for a while and they haven't had the best of luck either getting an interview or getting through an interview. Our goal is to see what that missing piece is. And a lot of times it is their resume because they have not really translated those skills, but they have the skills. So the VIP program is run by veterans. They are veterans themselves who have been in the military, and they are able to help them translate those skills onto their resume and into their actual interviews.
Well, Goodwill has employed a lot of veterans. You've been the starting point for so many of them to get them on board and starting to develop their work history once they're back home. And that helps to avoid so many things that we all hate hearing about. The veteran homelessness helps to avoid that. The veteran suicides that are never acceptable when they just give up hope. But Goodwill offers a road for them to go back and get into functioning in society the way that they would hope to do.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is, like I said, having the veterans who've kind of been there. Some of them have been through very similar things to the clients that are coming in the door. So having somebody there who can understand where they're coming from and what they've been through, in a sense, is really helpful, because sometimes they do come in and they've been through a lot and they have PTSD, or they don't and they just need a leg up. They just need need a little bit of help with maybe it's just one little thing on their resume. So it's really important for us to have veterans on staff that can really assist, but also having great community partners that we can refer them to if necessary.
I think it's great to do this with the veterans, and I know I stay on this topic for just a moment. I know that we are currently, with Beasley Media, running a public service campaign that talks about a veterans crisis line. Basically, the gist of the message is, yes, you talk to veterans, but are you really listening to what they need? But since Goodwill, Tenesha also has these veterans who understand where they're coming from, they've been through it, and they speak the language and can take their hand and be that bridge to help pull them to where we're employed and we're functioning, and is such an important step.
Absolutely. When we started the program in 2012, it really was exciting for us. We've always served veterans, always had veterans on staff, but we never had a specific program for the veterans. It really changed the dynamic of connecting that veteran with another veteran themselves. It's really helpful for them to really connect with that person, and also, like I said, be able to refer them. If we're in the business of workforce development, but we have many community partners that can help with so many other things.
That's one of the things about Goodwill, the jobs that people are able to connect with, not just with Goodwill. We mentioned that before. You do have a lot of community partners. One of the things that I found really interesting, I think, Kathy, after we had initial talks about Goodwill and all the wonderful things that you do here in Southern Nevada, I believe I got involved signing up on the email for their VIP club. I get these messages that say there's sales, but I also get messages about job fairs. It's surprising how many different employers are involved with Goodwill, and you help to provide people the path to getting the job that they want.
Absolutely. Our goal is to try to connect with the employers so that we can bridge that gap for the job seekers. So we host hiring events at now 2 of our centers, one which is a new center at the Boulevard Mall, which is open now, but we'll be having a grand opening soon. But we host hiring events pretty frequently, at least once a week on a regular basis, to help connect those job seekers to those employers.
The interaction through emails, Facebook, social media, to let people know that Goodwill is out there, Goodwill is an option, and you are actively helping people in Southern Nevada get back to work.
Absolutely. Like I said, the opening of our new center is great because, again, it gives more people more access to our services. So we're spread out a little bit across the valley to really help those job seekers. Like Kenadie said, sometimes transportation is a huge issue and barrier for people. So if we can offer more services across the valley, that's our main goal, is to help as many people as we can.
We all know somebody who needs a job, somebody who wants to make a career change, somebody who's in the market for those positions. But as we mentioned earlier, Goodwill actually offers a lot more than just the job opening. It's preparing, it's training, it's the resume, it's the interview skills. Where do I send them to start?
Well, you can go to any of our career centers with Goodwill. Our Tropicana Career Connections is actually a one-stop affiliate thanks to the funding from Workforce Connections. So a lot of those training opportunities and education opportunities are a direct result of the Workforce Connections federal funding. We're very grateful for that. But we are very excited that we have opened. There was a soft open. On August 4th, we'll have our grand opening of the Career Connections at Boulevard Mall, which is a big, big deal for us.
This is kind of our flagship mall Career Connections. We're really excited about it. It's in a great location here in the city. We have been open for about 2 months now, but we will have our official grand opening on August 4th, and we're really, really excited. The buzz is there, and people are really coming in and utilizing the services there. We have a great training room. There's a career center where you can utilize the computers, and you can also get one-on-one assistance there.
And the great thing about having these Career Connection centers, as well as all the other career centers in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada, thanks to the Workforce Connections funding, is that there really is a system. So when we talk about donating gently used goods to Goodwill, we talk about convenience. And so when you're talking about job seekers and people who are either looking for a job or looking to advance their career, having that readily accessible help in your neighborhood, I don't have to go across town, whether it's a Goodwill Career Connections or it's Help of Southern Nevada or it's one of the many other agencies that do job placement. That's a big deal to make it super convenient, because when it's convenient, people will seek that help and eventually be better prepared for the workforce.
Yes, but I'm really proud of love the Boulevard Mall location, mainly because it's where people are already. Before this, you had to go to the Career Center. You could go pick up a dress and then go see about your career.
A dress at Goodwill, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly, you could. I'm just saying it's great. People advertise on Facebook because that's where people are already existing and talking.
Right.
And to be able to have the convenience of doing other things and then dropping into Career Connections to talk about advancing your career, I just think that's really great.
And what a great place. For anyone who hasn't been to the new location, the flagship store, as we call it, for Goodwill. If you think about the Boulevard Mall, it was the old Dillard store.
Right. The Goodwill store is on the lower level. It's 28,000 square feet. It is the biggest Goodwill store here in Southern Nevada. And in fact, it's the only Goodwill store in the nation in an anchor position in a regional mall. It's a very big deal. What we love about the Boulevard Mall location, not just for retail, but also for the new Career Connections, is that it is so easily accessible to people. We love the story behind the Boulevard Mall as well. I mean, this was a mall that when it was built, it was the mall in Las Vegas.
It was a thing.
It was. And over time, as the community grew, that neighborhood suffered. And so one of the things that we like to talk about is that Goodwill is about second chances. And by coming into a mall that was, you could say, neglected,
it was in bad shape before they took it and totally retooled it.
The new developers have done an awesome job at reviving that iconic mall in our community. And because Goodwill is all about second chances, it makes perfect sense that we're part of it. Not just from that retail perspective, which does help fund our mission, but also offering people second chances by having that career center right there at Boulevard Mall. The whole story just seems serendipitous. It seems like it was meant to be. It's a huge Career Connections, and by having not only our Career Connections at Tropicana, which is funded by Workforce Connections, it's now going to be a one-stop affiliate, having our Career Connections at Cheyenne and MLK, and now having this Career Connections at Boulevard Mall, we feel like we can really serve the community from Goodwill's perspective.
I love the phrase second chances because it applies in so many areas. It's a second chance for the possessions that I no longer need. It's a second chance for the clothes that I no longer wear.
Exactly.
It's a second chance for a job, to change your career, get back on your feet if you're a returning veteran into our community. There are so many things that fit into the category of second chances.
But again, we couldn't provide those second chances without help from the Engelstad Foundation, who helped fund this Career Connections at Boulevard Mall, without the federal funding and the trust that Workforce Connections puts into Goodwill, and to know that we're properly handling that federal money, and without the support of the community who does donate to us their gently used items that are in great shape and also shop in our stores. All of that makes a tremendous impact in this community. Just from Goodwill's perspective, last year we helped 2,300 people go back to work.
Absolutely. And we're really trending at a higher rate this year, which is great. That means more people are coming to the door. That Boulevard location is really rocking. It's very busy. And now with the addition of our Tropicana location, we really think we're going to be able to assist more job seekers this year in being placed.
So it really takes a community coming together, whether it's Workforce Connections, whether it's foundations, whether it's the average person who's cleaning out your closet. Goodwill does great work here, but we also have, as Tenesha mentioned, many partners, not just in the workforce area, but also in the community area to help service all those additional needs that go into helping someone change their life.
It's amazing what we can accomplish when we work together.
Absolutely.
Well, Kenadie, the federal funding that is helping Goodwill and a bunch of other wonderful organizations here in our area, it's helping the community really reach our arms out and help so many more people in getting back into the job market.
Yes, it is. The funds, and I don't think this was mentioned before, comes from the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which was retooled, as you said, from 1998, which was the Workforce Investment Act. Because of that, the powers that be changed the law so that it could help people get into the careers that are more current. When it was established in 1998, it's when the car plants were closing, and the goal was to get people right back to work. But nowadays, that's not quite the issue. We need long-term training in order to get people really ready for that next stage. So it's really exciting that the government had been able to get this bill passed and through. But this one, everybody agreed on because everybody realized in order to compete globally, we have to really stick to education and in training our workforce so that we can really become a global competitor.
I love this. Kenadie, Kathy, and Tenesha are with us. What else is happening that we need to know about?
We also have, from a system standpoint, nvcareercenter.org, which has about 80 or 90 jobs that people can look at, apply for, and then get some assistance if they need to get their resume together for help. And whether they come from Goodwill or Nevada Partners or FIT or Help with Southern Nevada, those are also opportunities for job seekers to get engaged.
Visit any of our career centers, open Monday through Thursday from 9 to 4 and Friday from 9 to noon. They don't have to have an appointment. They can walk in, use the career center, see one of the career coaches that very day. You can also call if you have any questions. We host workshops on an everyday basis. Those are absolutely free. Just walk in. That's all it takes. Just take that step right in the door and we can help you. Our website is goodwill.vegas.
Pretty simple. All of these links are available on our Talking Solutions Facebook page. That's where we also put a podcast of our discussion today. This is also positive.
It's a great example of organizations working together. And I think when we all do that, the community is only stronger because of it.
What have I forgotten?
From a retail perspective, when we talk about growth, obviously the opening of the Career Connections at Boulevard Mall, the reopening of the One-Stop Career Connections, the One-Stop affiliate at Tropicana and Pecos. We also have a couple of retail stores that are opening. We'll have a brand new store and drive-through donation center opening at Silverado Ranch in Bermuda at the end of the month. That store opening has created 40 new jobs within Goodwill. So we are now up to about 940 team members. So again, that's another way that your donations, your support of Goodwill, not only helps fund this job placement and these training services that we've been talking about, but also physically creates jobs within the organization. I've been working with Goodwill now for 8 years, and I have literally seen the number of people employed by our nonprofit double. And when you think about that during a recession, that many jobs were created just within a nonprofit, just because of people cleaning out their closets, because of the mission that Goodwill does, which is help put people back to work. That's pretty incredible. That's 400 jobs. With the opening of this new store at Silverado Ranch in Bermuda, there will be 18 retail stores. That includes our clearance centers, our Deja Blue boutique in Summerlin, as well as our Goodwill Select model. We've got one over at Durango and Arby on the southwest side. But 18 retail stores, about 40 places to donate throughout the valley. And now, again, thanks to the funding from Workforce Connections, as well as the Ingleston Foundation for the Boulevard Mall, we'll have 3 career centers. And so really between creating jobs within this community and being able to serve people who have job placement and training needs within this community, our footprint has really extended significantly in the past 4 to 5 years, which is amazing. When we talk about the community support, we couldn't do that without the support of the community, without the organizations, without the contacts, without the people who just want to clean out their closets. It's really a significant impact for people who need help.
Growing in every direction.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, just want to make sure that the community knows that they also serve youth 16 to 24 years old. And so we're talking about an emerging workforce that is also important. They're not retooling, they're just now getting started. And recently we had a Next Gen Youth Internship Fair, and Goodwill placed over 40 youth in those retail stores that she's talking about. And so over 100 youth were placed, but 40 of those youth actually went to Goodwill and the stores. And that's really important because getting youth the opportunity to understand how to get up, go to a job, be on time, follow directions. Some people will say, well, they need to go into the career field that they're looking for, but most of us, our first job had nothing to do with the career field we're in now.
I'm thinking back, I was selling popcorn at the zoo.
Exactly. So getting a job, I think, is really critical for youth, and I think the retail stores are a great place for people to start.
Kids have such a high unemployment rate because they're like the last ones we look at to give a job to.
Right, and we shouldn't. And Kathy told me about a statistic that nationally more than 5 million young people aged 16 to 24 are both out of school and out of work. That's a very serious statistic. You have to use people like Goodwill and Nevada Partners in the local community to make sure that those youth are not disconnected from basically everything.
Kids and people of all ages, they've got to have hope, because if you didn't have a job and you didn't have any money and you had time on your hands, what's going to happen? You're going to end up in trouble, and it's going to cause a whole different set of problems.
Absolutely. And if I had to pick a program that we have, our youth program is probably my favorite. It really prepares them not only for work, but if they want to further their education, it really prepares them to take that next step in their journey for their career. We had a young gentleman. He had a really hard time. He has a disability. He is deaf, and he had 2 positions that he was unable to keep. He had a lot of interviews. We just really had to prepare him to show that he could work. And so through this Next Gen, we were able to place embrace him. He's done a really fabulous job, and they are ready to hire him full-time in this position. He's never worked before, and he's really excited about it.
That's awesome. What company did he go to?
He's at
Batteries in a Flash.
And they're ready to hire him.
That is amazing. I'm so happy to hear that.
That's very exciting.
And that youth internship fair that the Workforce Connections team put on, that all the partners, including Goodwill, that we participated in, was really amazing to see. There was such a great turnout. There was about 100 youth who came, and I think about 94%, is that what you were saying?
96% were placed.
Wow.
Yes, and many of them got multiple offers. So this is really shout out to the employers who really think that impacting the youth workforce is important. They're getting something out of it, but they still took the time to come and really help the youth take that next step. And to hear this personal story just really warms my heart. So I'm really happy about it.
You want to help a kid with their self-esteem, show them that they're not only wanted by one employer, but there are different employers who are vying for their services.
Correct.
And it's a job that not just helps them when the paycheck comes along, it helps them for decades.
Right.
It puts them on the path to be successful.
Right. Studies show that if you have a job as a young adult, that you will work consistently as an adult. So it's just really getting that kind of in your muscle memory that I work. I go to work and this is what I do. And they seem to carry that on through life.
Jobs for everybody. That's what I'm hearing. So Goodwill.Vegas.
Yes. nvcareercenter.org from Workforce Connections.
What a great conversation. Kenadie, Cobbin, Richardson, Kathy Topp, Tenesha, McCulloch. Thanks so much for joining us today on Talking Solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.